is Jenny P4 from the Boomer Project, and I am bringing you one of our contributors today, Paula Esty, who is going to talk to you about activism. And we all remember what that was from the 60s, right? Well, she's going to talk about the flavors of today.
It's complicated today. It's much more complicated than it was when I was 20 and you were 20 and we were protesting the Vietnam War and protesting for Roe versus Wade. It seems like things were much simpler then. The political and social justice atmosphere that we're living in right now is so complicated, and it's made especially complicated by government, by a bloated political system, and also by the fact that we are aging out. And that's kind of a big deal because we are still very, very much needed on the front lines, but many of us are tired. Many of us are very tired, and that's a big issue for boomers. I think that people are organizing. There are excellent groups that we'll talk about in just a minute about where you can plug in if you want to. But again, I think the issues are so complex because we have gun violence, we have women's rights, we have Black Lives Matter, we have a government that doesn't really listen to us. It's very, very frustrating and hard to figure out where to plug in, but there are a lot of great organizations doing great work that need our help. And we'll talk about it in a minute.
So have the actual issues changed since the 60s, or were they always still there?
That is such a great question because the issues are still there, but the fact that we oversimplified them when we were in our 20s, we were so innocent. We thought that what we were doing to protest and what have you was going to be good enough. But then many of us got diverted into having families, jobs, and so forth. We sort of left that field, and it's essential that we come back in. Being accountable, it feels like what an activist is up to right now. That's what we're most needed for, is the honest accountability of ourselves as Americans, what our history is and what we bring to the table about that. And I think we are in such a difficult situation right now because we don't want to be accountable for our history, which was a violent history. So here's what I recommend that you do that has worked for me over and over again. And it starts simply with finding a group, because you don't want to be alone in your activist activities because it's not effective. So I would suggest finding your group, and that means finding your passion. Find out what you really want to get involved with. I know our time is limited. We're older now. We want more time for fun and games, and that's really, maybe you can help me figure out how to add that to my life. But so here are a bunch of organizations that need volunteers that could really use your help. So one is Black Good Too, Demand Action, climate action of any kind. There are many either local or national organizations, but we have one right in Newburyport called ACES. I'm going to let you look all these up too. So there's political action to get involved with. There's food insecurity. We're very, very lucky here in Newburyport that we have food pantries, we have food, we have kitchens, and all kinds of ways that we can volunteer in that sector if you're interested. There's housing, there's racism. So when I talk to activists, I just really encourage people to find your passion, then find your group. Each movement has their own needs, and they can tell you what they are, from financial to marching to phone banking.
Paula, do you have a favorite issue? There are so many to choose from.
I was thinking about this question, Jenny, and it's like, yes, I have a favorite, but it's a hard one. I mean, favorite activist subjects tend to be pretty painful, and so mine is gun violence and gun sense. And I am drawing the organizations that I am the director of toward that problem, that challenge, more and more. The ways that you can get involved in that are depending on your desires and what your interests are, but you can work legislatively on that issue. You can work on victim support on that challenge. You can literally just concentrate on raising awareness of the issue. the Huddle has done that recently with sister citying with Uvalde, Texas, after the Robb Elementary School massacre in May last year. And we did a heart-to-heart project where we wrote love letters to them and chained them together, and we're going to send them to the library in Uvalde. So it doesn't have to be hard-line activism to be effective. You can give on a financial level, and you can work with our schools on it. Literally, part of the Heart-to-Heart project was we went to the Bresnahan School and involved the children in it, and to watch the teachers describe what we were doing without scaring them, but knowing our Bresnahan School was built in 2014 with shooter awareness built right into the architecture. So anyway, Moms Demand Action is my favorite organization for gun control.
Wow, thank you so much. I mean, I have to say that every time I listen to the news, I just die a little bit. I just want to cry. Every morning, I can hardly stand it.
Me too.
So this is really good that you're...
I feel like, the bottom line for me is you have to be willing to have your heart broken, because it is really difficult out there now. There are a lot of people hurting. There are a lot of people in need. And I wake up pretty sad and depressed a lot too, but that's where belonging to groups really, really helps, because everybody feels the same way. And we would welcome you at the Women in Action Huddle, whether you're a man, a woman, whatever gender you are. The Women in Action Huddle is a great support group that also does a huge amount of activism in our community.
What's your background?
I've been at this my whole life, just like being creative too. I don't know. It's just been in my blood. The first thing I really remember is being 16. I met my first boyfriend on a bus that we were out canvassing for, Eugene McCarthy for president. So that was 1968, a long time ago. I've been at it my whole life. The freedom that I experienced growing up sort of made me turn to, okay, what are you going to do with it, and what are you going to do about it? And so it's been in my blood. I think being an artist really helps too, because your heart is always open, your head is connected to your heart, you're witnessing what you think are challenges against justice for people. You just have to stand up